Hey guys, and today we were taking a look at another Axis and Allies War at Sea ship comparison. And today, for the first time, we will be comparing two ships of different nations, but of the same kind of style. And today we will be comparing the two heavyweights of the War at Sea base set, the USS Iowa and the Yamato. Both of these were the largest battleships ever built of their respective nation. The Yamato was the largest in terms of tonnage battleship ever built and in terms of her guns, and Iowa was the longest battleship ever built and also the heaviest that the U.S. ever built, not the heaviest ever built. She was armed with 9 16-inch guns, but these 16-inch guns were the Mark 7 variant, and these had greater penetrating power, which made them a bit more equal to the Yamato's 18.1-inch guns. So starting with the USS Iowa for the comparison here, she's 68 points, has a year limit of 1943 if you're playing with that. She's got a flag rating of 2. Her guns are 18, 18, 17, and 15, and her secondaries are 6, 6, 5. She has a 9 anti-air rating. Her armor is 7. Her vital armor is 15. She has 6 hull points, and her special abilities are as follows. Bristling with guns. This unit can make 2 secondary attacks against separate targets during your surface attack step. Extended range 5. While undamaged, this unit can make a range 4 or range 5 main gunnery attack using its range 3 value. And finally, torpedo defense 1. Each torpedo hit rolled against this unit deals 1 less point of hull damage. Now over to the Yamato. 2 points more at 70 points. Her year limit, if you're playing with those restrictions, is 1942. She also has flagship 2. Her main guns are 18, 18, 16, 15. So they're identical to the Iowas, except for the fact that at range 2, the Iowas are 17 and the Yamato has 16. Her secondaries are 8, 8, 7, 5, which are far better than the Iowas. She gets 2 more dice at ranges 0, 1, 2, and gets a whole shot at range 3, which the Iowa doesn't. Then her tertiaries are 5, 5, 3, which is pretty good, and her anti-air of 7 is average for a battleship. She has an enormous armor of 10, a vital armor of 16, and 6 hull points. That armor one-ups the Iowa by 1 point in the armor and vital armor department, and her special abilities are extended range 4. While undamaged, this unit can make range 4 main gunnery attacks using its range 3 value, and torpedo defense 1. Each torpedo hit rolled against this unit does 1 less point of hull damage. So we have 2 very similar units. One unit is 2 points more than the other, so the Yamato is more expensive than the Iowa. So take a look at what that more expensive gives you. With the Iowa, the bristling with guns is not as good as the Yamato's secondary abilities. First off, the Yamato's secondary guns go out farther than the Iowas do, to range 3. On top of that, because of the fact that the Yamatos are divided into... The Yamato's secondary and tertiary guns are separated, while the Iowa kind of combines them with this bristling with guns ability, this means the Yamato can make an attack against the same destroyer with these 2 values and probably sink it if she does so. But because of the wording on this card reads it has to be against separate targets, the Iowa can't do that. On top of that, she loses range with her secondaries. So in terms of defeating destroyers, the Yamato is better in that regard. However, the Yamato is much less capable in terms of anti-air. It doesn't have the same anti-air capabilities because of those 2 less dice. And especially against American aircraft, that means the Yamato is going to struggle, particularly if you're playing more late war scenarios. For the Iowa, this means that she doesn't really have to worry about aircraft too much, and you probably shouldn't need to think too much other than protecting your interests, generally speaking. She probably won't need a air escort because she's going to tear whatever is in her sector out of the sky. Now, the Yamato also does improve armor and vital armor by 1 point. So for 2 points more, that's pretty huge. Having a 10 armor is very difficult to get past, and you're going to need probably a 50-point battleship or upwards to reliably do that. And then it's going to have to be the right 50-point battleship. For instance, with the British, you're probably not going to get that with most of their above 50-point battleships. And the Iowa, while 9 and 15 are good, that does make her a little bit more fragile. But there's another huge factor here. The Iowa has extended range 5, and the Yamato only has extended range 4. The Iowa can shoot farther than the Yamato by 1 sector while undamaged. And that just means that the Iowa can simply lob an extra shot out, while the Yamato can't even return fire. And the Iowa can do that against other battleships too, just as well. And that is a problem because, say, the Yamato finds herself stuck in that position of extended range 5, she loses a hull point, so she loses her ability to use extended range 4 because she's now damaged. And now the Iowa has 2 ranges to work with where she can be at range 5 or range 4 and just put shots on the Yamato doing damage to it. So that extended range 5 is a big deal, particularly in a one-on-one fight. Again, the Iowa has slightly better guns at range 2 than the Yamato does, but that's not a big deal. I think I would say overall, in my opinion, the better of these 2 battleships is the Iowa. That's my personal opinion, and I think this is because primarily based on her guns. Her guns being as good as they are, this enables them really to select targets, particularly the Yamato, and do damage to them while the target can't respond. And that means that her armor being 9 and 15, while that's still very good armor, not the best, but almost the best, she doesn't have to worry about that armor. She can just outrange her targets and put shots on them all day long, turn in and turn out. Her 9 anti-air is going to keep her very well protected against enemy bombers. You're never going to have to deal with that problem. And on top of that, the secondaries, while those do suffer a little bit, I don't think you'll need to worry too much because you'll definitely be able to bring a screen. And she's 2 points cheaper than the Yamato. The Yamato, it's a very close battle, but the Yamato just simply doesn't have, I think, enough stuff. Her 7 anti-air is going to be a huge problem for her going up against USN aircraft, even earlier war USN aircraft. The Avenger is definitely going to be a difficult contestant against her. The secondaries are nice, the armor and vital armor is nice, and her guns are, of course, great, but they're just not as good as the Iowa, simply put. And I think that's just the biggest problem that the Yamato has going for it. This is why more people tend to use the Musashi or the Shogo Yamato, and we'll get to those in future videos, but those 2 ships improve upon what this ship doesn't really have. So that's my take on USS Iowa versus USS Iowa versus the Yamato in the Axis and Allies War at Sea iteration. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.